what I have today for you is a little bit different than what I normally do. But I was playing some Yugioh Duel with a fun deck. You of course have seen it already in the title and such. But I was grinding through. I am grinding through gold with this deck, and this deck is a Ancient Gear burn deck. So why it is an Ancient Gear burn deck? It's not really finalized yet, the deck, but I'm doing pretty good with it. So the main card you like in this deck is this card, Ancient Gear House. This is your ace card. This card, well, let's see what it only costs 2 Ancient Gear monsters to fusion summon, and it can inflict 1000 damage in the main phase. So that's the ticking time one. And the best card about this, the best thing about this card is it's unaffected by card effects. Ever. So no monsters, no spells, no traps. So they have to beat over. It's not that hard to beat over it because it only has 1800 defense. But then if he is destroyed, you can summon one Ancient Gear monster from your deck, ignoring its summoning cost. So it can be Ancient Gear Golem, or it can be Ancient Gear Wyvern. And I will explain more about it. So this is the ace card, Howitzer. And you have this card, Ancient Gear Hunting Out. This is actually a polymerization, but on summon it also burns the opponent for 600 damage. It's not much. Most of the time it doesn't do anything, the 600 damage, but it's still something. It still keeps the timer going. I have one Ancient Gear Knight only for the Ancient Gear box, because if Ancient Gear box is added from your deck to your hand, you can add a Ancient Gear monster with 500 defense from your or attack from your deck to your hand. So you can normal summon or special summon Ancient Gear Wyvern, get Ancient Gear Box, get Ancient Gear Knight, or Ancient Gear Frame. So Ancient Gear Wyvern is when this card is normal or special summoned, you can add one Ancient Gear card from your deck to your hand, except Ancient Gear Wyvern, of course. Ancient Gear Frame says you can discard a card and then add a Ancient Gear Golem monster from your deck to your hand, or a card that specifies his name. Well, of course, we have 3 Ancient Gear Golems because that's the card. We have Ancient Gear Fusion. I know I skipped over a card, but I will come back at it later. Ancient Gear Fusion is just a fusion summon card to summon a Howitzer, or when you have Ancient Gear Golem on the field, you can use Ancient Gear monsters from your deck. So that will be quite handy for all the other cards that I'm going to show you later. So we have these cards. So we have 3 cards of Gear Town. Gear Town, the first effect doesn't really do anything, but when it is destroyed, you can summon an Ancient Gear monster from your deck. From your hand, deck, or graveyard, so from everywhere. You have Ancient Gear Fortress. This card is very good when it is on the field and a Ancient Gear monster is normal summoned. It cannot be destroyed or is not affected by enemy card effects. So that's a very strong card. But why I only have 2 of it in this deck is because when it is destroyed, it only summons from the graveyard or hand. And so Gear Town is way better, because you can destroy these cards with Ancient Gear Catapult. When you control no monsters in your, well, when you just control no monsters, you can activate this card, destroy one's face-up card you control, and special summon Ancient Gear monster from your deck. So you can summon Gear Town or have Gear Town up, activate Ancient Gear Catapult, special summon Ancient Gear Wyvern, get these cards, and you can even special summon an Ancient Gear Golem, or you can special summon Ancient Gear Golem, Wyvern, and get a Gear Fusion with the Wyvern. So you can go in your Howitzer or other cards. So that's more of the combo. I have one limited removal. This is a card that I'm going to throw out for something else that does burn damage. This is not really that good of a card, but it's still something, but I have not used it yet. Ring of Destruction, only 2. I think I might be going it down to 1 because it's a niche card and it doesn't come up quite a bit, but it destroys one phase of monster your opponent controls, and then we both receive the damage of that card's attack. So it's a burn card, and it's a kind of an interruption, because when they play an XYZ monster or Synchro, Fusion, or one of their boss monsters, you just destroy them, or one of their pieces, you destroy them, and they cannot play anymore. Torrential Tribute, beautiful card. Like, when a monster is summoned, destroy all monsters on the field, but Ancient Gear Howitzer is unaffected by spell and trap cards. So that's very, very strong. So it will be always on the field. Same as Needle Sealing. When 4 or more monsters are destroyed, destroy all face-up monsters. So, except for Ancient Gear Howitzer. Magic Cylinder, I only have 2, but I think I will put a 3rd one in. Or maybe not, I don't know yet. But Magical Cylinder, everybody knows it, it just deals damage. More Interruption, Bottomless Trapple. You really want to go first in this deck, so Bottomless Trapple is a very good banish card. By the way, if they summon in one setting more than one monster, you can banish them all. So that's very cool card. And just more interruptions, nothing special. The last burn card is Mahama the Fairy Dragon. When on the opponent's turn, when somebody so me or the opponent, gets battle damage, I can do 2 things. This card is going special summoned, and I can gain life points, or I can do damage equal to that amount of damage that was done. So it's another more of a burn card. So that's very cool. So for the fusion deck, we have Ancient Gear Golem Megaton. It's not that good of a card. It's when this card's attack, your opponent can activate spell trap cards, but it's more monster effects. But when this card is this is the special thing. When this card is removed from the field by a card effect, you can special summon one Ultimate Ancient Gear Golem. And Ultimate Ancient Gear Golem, it does really the same thing, but it's a 4400 damage card, so it's a very big boy. And when this card is destroyed, you can special summon a Ancient Gear Golem from your graveyard. So, still combos. Last card, Chaos Ancient Gear Giant. Those are the fusion summons. This card, you need 4 Ancient Gear Golems, so you do not are going to use it much. But this card can attack all opponents' monsters, and it's unaffected by spell and trap cards. So that's the card. There's nothing more. Oh yeah, and inflicts piercing damage, and inflicts piercing damage. So still, even though they're in defense position because they know what you are trying to do, you can still destroy them. And the last package is the Dreadnought package. This Dreadnought, you can summon this one with the number 27 when and you only need 2 level 4 monsters. So again, combo, or maybe combo. You get it. You can make this when you destroy a monster with this. You can summon a Super Dreadnought, and you can do 2000 or more damage. You can have more defense, and you can make a 4000 monster if needed. Zeus, when you attack, you can make Zeus. And the last card is Ancient Gear Ballista. This one is a not very used card, but a very strong card if needed. Because this card can destroy one face-up spell card you control, like Gear Town or Ancient Gear Fortress. And then you can target one opponent's card and that monster, and that becomes 0 attack. So still you can do a little bit more damage. And because Ancient Gears, when they attack, the opponent cannot activate spell trap effects, is very handy. Also, when this card is summoned, you can add one Ancient Gear. Ancient Gear monster or Gear Town from your deck to your hand. So also good. So when you summon this, you can add nothing special, just something. So this was the deck list. Let's go into some gameplay. So in the gameplay that I'm going to show you, you will see some cards that were in the deck that I did not show you, because I changed the deck up a bit before finalizing it. So in this deck you see Skill Drain. I put Skill Drain in because Howitzer is when Howitzer is on the field, it still is unaffected by Skill Drain. So you can Skill Drain and then you can like Torrential Tribute for instance. Let me lower the images for a bit. I can have what more of a no, it doesn't work sadly. So we have not good of a view. So what happens here? He destroys beautifully my card, so I cannot summon my Ancient Gear Golem. Well, luckily, or else I would have had a destroyed Ancient Gear Golem. So I can normal summon Ancient Gear Wyvern, add Ancient Gear Fusion, activate Ancient Gear Fusion, and summon Howitzer. Howitzer, of course, deals 1000 damage, but I can also attack for the 2000 damage. Why I attack here? Of course, I have Magical Cylinder, and so even if he tries to attack me, I can activate Magical Cylinder to do damage and protect my own card. I do not read the card, and also he doesn't read the card, so both cards don't get destroyed. Well, typical Yu-Gi-Oh players, right? So just switch him to defense and deal 1000 damage. Put him on a cycle, put him on a clock. That's how it works. So I put Skill Drain out of this deck because I have seen that Skill Drain is not a very much used card. People in gold didn't really had cards that I had to negate with Skill Drain every time I drew it. And every time I played Skill Drain, I had like 3 more or 2 more in my hand, or one on the field, so it's not useful. Sadly, Ancient Howitzer is only once per turn, and luckily it's only once per turn. So I can only do 1000 damage a turn still. Why I fusion summon an extra one? Just for funsies. Nothing special. And this is it. So here you can see a little bit of the combo what I was talking about. So his cards are, by the way, unaffected by spell and trap cards effects. So I set Torrent Retribute. I do 1000 damage. So he summons the card. Yes, you can summon the card. Okay, I activate Torrent Retribute and I chain my Skill Drain. So I negate all of their effects. And so I can destroy them, and he scoops. So up to game 2. So we are still in gold. Of course, this is only in gold. I'm now gold 2 with this deck. So, and this deck is about going first, because so you can activate or set all your traps. So activate Ancient Gear Frame, discard Ancient Gear Golem, and get an Ancient Gear Fusion to my hand. I could have discarded one of the trap cards, but these trap cards are very strong. Like one Infinite Impermanent can turn out so many decks. Oh, this is not a good deck. So I will only show you fights that were like above a certain amount of turns, not like 3 or 4 or 2 or 3, because most of people scooped when they saw my card for some reason. So activate Ancient Gear Fortress and destroy my fortress. So I can special summon Ancient Gear Wyvern from the graveyard, and I can special summon my Ancient Gear Howitzer from my hand. So because Howitzer is special, sorry, not Howitzer, Gear Hunting Hound is special summoned, it doesn't gain its effect for the normal summon. So that's a bit of bunker, but sure. So I add Ancient Gear Box and Ancient Gear Gear Frame. I fusion summon, of course, Howitzer. In defense, activate effect, deal 1000 damage, and set 2 cards. Oh, again, I misplayed an effect. When this card is summoned, you cannot set cards. So I misplayed right here very hard. So keep that in mind, okay? I still make that mistake. So the deck of this person, I have no idea what he did. But trust me, the last match, especially the last match, will let you see how good this of deck, this good of a deck it is. I really thought he would summon the Magician of Fate. Is how she called? What is she called? Yeah, Magician of Fate. Yeah. But he didn't. So it cost me 1000 damage because I was greedy for those 700 extra damage. Skill Drain, I changed Skill Drain so he cannot use this effect, but he plays Book of Moon. I have no idea what he was doing here. But he counters my Skill Drain, so GG, because she isn't face up anymore. And he now still can use his Pot of Duality. Let me make it a little bit faster. He has like nothing special, but he adds Kuribo to his hand. But Kuribo doesn't do anything because of my burn damage. I am only playing burn damage here. I can destroy a card. Oh yeah, when this card is in the graveyard, you can banish it. Well, you can destroy a card, place it on the field, destroy that card, and then you can special summon an Ancient Gear token. It's not much, but I'm just trying to do more damage. Make the clock go faster, because I still have 2 negates on the field, like a Bottomless Trapple and a Solemn Judgment. So I Solemn Judgment here his draw, because I had the feeling he still doesn't have the things he needs, so I can use that card. So here he makes a little bit of a mistake, because I can now flip up my Gearhound and make a Ancient Gear Ultimate. Is that a card is called? Ancient Gear Giant. Chaos Ancient Gear Giant. So banish his card, banish his Grand Maju, and that's how I want it. I don't want to see that card at all. Make Howitzer, make Chaos Ancient Gear Giant, and have piercing damage and go for lethal. Ooh. Well, GG. Up to game 3. So this is the 3rd match, and after this 3rd match we have 1 more match. So keep in mind for that. We open with a awful hand. We have two bricks, and make that 3 bricks. So we have only 2 negates, like a magical cylinder for the damage, and 1 needle ceiling. So this was a kind of a close match against Blue Eyes, a Blue Eyes deck, because of him being greedy. Yet he played around my needle ceiling every turn. I was like hoping that I could use needle ceiling, but there was no reason for me. Well, there was no chance for me to use it, because he always had 3 cards on the field. Even when I put 1 card in face down, just I set a card. He did not play any cards, if I'm not mistaken. If this is that guy, so I couldn't use needle ceiling, because needle ceiling only destroys face up monsters, and since I had a face down monster, it didn't do much. So activate Ancient Gear Wyvern for the special summon. Go with Ancient Gear Fusion, activate Ancient Gear Fusion, and summon or use my 2 guys. Use my 3 guys to make Ultimate Ancient Gear Golem. So you cannot use his back row. So I activate my card effect of Ancient Gear Ultimate Giant. Activate the only one time I activate Limiter Removal, and he destroys me with a Honest. That felt very painful. I can now I can damage his card for some damage, 1800 damage, to make the timer faster. So I have needle ceiling. So look at this. He sets a card, he activates his card, and he doesn't do anything. He only had to put in 1 more card for me to activate needle ceiling. It was like annoying. So I have Ring of Destruction, so I can use Ring of Destruction on him, but then I don't have anything. So I'm looking for him to use his 4th card, but he doesn't put a 4th card because he plays it slow. So I just destroy his card, and I go for the okay, and I'm just setting a card. So now I set a card, so when he sets another card or special summons a card, I can use Needle Ceiling and destroys his card. But he tribute summons. Indeed, he tribute summons. I guess GG. He gets another Blue Eyes to his hand. He destroys my Ancient Gear frame. And now I'm in top deck modus. Nothing I can do. But to my luck, I draw the best card I could have drawn, my Mahama. Like I said, he does damage to me, and or battle damage, and I can do that battle damage back. So he only has to attack with blue eyes right now to give me the win, but he doesn't. He could have just straight up won the game, but he chose not to, and he chose to overplay his hand, which in this circumstance is very good. Like this card could have, I feel that this player has read me like all the time, but luckily he goes for the BM. He summons more and more cards, and for some reason this card, he's going to attack with this card, and it does not for some reason it just used the half amount of damage because of his mistake, and I kill him with the card. So I could have lost, but because he was greedy and he didn't read his cards, we won. So the last match I have for you is a very special match against a top tier deck that I apparently played very well against. So again, this deck is all about going first and making it so your opponent overplays his hand a little bit, and you interrupt their board with Needle Sealing and Bottomless Trap Hole, Magical Cylinder for the damage, Mahama the Fairy for the Dragon for the damage, and that's it. So he playing a top tier deck called Virtual. This deck is like top tier everywhere. So he just does his combo, there's nothing special about it. But he summons some different cards than I have seen with Virtual Worlds. He summons this Zolkin, and with Zolkin he can special summon another one, and this card is when a monster effect is activated. He can negate it and destroy it. So I'm just sending all these cards so he can overplay his hand, and so I can Needle Sealing. But he is smart, he just goes to the battle phase, and I activate Magical Cylinder just so my card doesn't get destroyed, and when he sets another or summons another card, I can just destroy the whole board and not my own card. So, but he does it again, he goes battle phase and destroys my card. So I'm in a very, very bad spot right now because I drew Ancient Gear Golem and I cannot normal summon Ancient Gear Wife. So this is where he makes the mistake. He summons cards. So he's just playing his hand, playing every card he has on the field and summoning more, destroying more, well, not destroying. So he summons his last card, and now I activate Needle Sealing, destroying every card on the field. So with his monster gone, I can now use my Mahama the Fairy Dragon safely. So what I do here is I play Ancient Gear Wife, get Ancient Gear Fusion to my hand, go to the battle phase, attack for 1700, yes, and play my Ancient Gear Fusion. And for the people, I made the mistake again because I'm stupid. I had to set Needle Sealing before I summoned this card. Well, so now I cannot set this card anymore. He activates Maxi. Well, good job. I don't use that many special summons, so you only get to draw one card, and I get to deal 1 damage. So that's a good trade-off for me. And now he's on a 3-turn timer, and I still have Bottomless Trap Hole, I still have Torrential Tribute, and I have another Needle Sealing on the field. So Needle Sealing is very good against Virtual World because you saw it, they special summon a lot of cards. So what I'm doing here, I'm just waiting for him to special summon as many cards and use as many of their once per turn effects as possible before I activate Torrential Tribute. So he summons, if I'm not mistaken, yes, he summons another one right now, and now I activate Torrential Tribute, and he just scoops. He leaves the game. And that, ladies and gentlemen, that is my Ancient Gear burn deck. It's still not yet finished. I still am looking for a little bit more because I also could have put in this deck. I could also have put Gravedigger's Trapple Grave, but that card is very expensive. Gravedigger's Trapple here. When an opponent activates a monster effect in their hand or graveyard, when your opponent banishes monsters effects is activated, so one of their banished monsters, you can negate its effect and deal 2000 damage. So that's a lot, you know? So maybe you can have this card instead of one Ring of Destruction and one extra Needle Sealing, just in case. So this was the deck. Thank you all for watching and have a nice day. Bye.